So gang, this is Lysorn, and I am taking a trip back in time. This is the very first mobile game that I ever played. Granted, the original version that I played has shut down, which was the Americanized, so-called global version of Chain Chronicle. But there are two other versions that I can access that are still available. I am in the Taiwanese version. So some people call it TWCC or Taiwan Chain Chronicle. And then there's the original Japan Chain Chronicle that is about anywhere from 6 months to a year ahead in terms of updates. I can't believe this game is still around. I mean, I started playing this like, what, 7 years ago? And it's still going strong. I can't believe all the people that I used to play with, they're still playing. Now, I can't read the language. Let's see, we have, looks like this thing. There's an event going on right now, which I was just in when I started the video. Let me scroll back. Looks like we have until September the 10th to complete the event. Today is September the 7th, so I have 3 days if I wish to get any progress done. So I'm just floored that this thing is still going. Chain Chronicle Global version, which was the one translated to English, that one shut down. We're not sure. Well, I am not sure why. I think others know. There's been rumors posted online about maybe the publisher didn't want to pay Sony their licensing fees. So this whole thing, all the artwork and all the voices, everything's owned by Sony. So the Japan version of this game is published directly by Sony. The Taiwan version that I am playing, and I do have a Japan account, but I haven't been there forever. That one, the Taiwan version, I think it's published by a publisher named Mobimon, that I've never heard of before. But anyway, let's get into the event. So the event that I'm playing here now, what made this game so interesting back in the day is this is one of the first games where you could actually see your characters move on the field. And at the time, that was extraordinary. So you didn't have, 3D animation or anything, but these characters actually animate. And you can move them around. For example, I'm going to move this character, so I can actually click and tap on her, and she moves around. And at the time, when this first came out, that was revolutionary. Now, this one doesn't have the traditional Asian rock, paper, scissors type mechanic. It's a little bit different. So this one has more of a, you have 4 character or unit roles, if you will. It's more fair to call these things units. They do have, stories if you can read it. Each one of these units, does have a character story that you can read. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, I haven't played her in a long time. So I brought her in because she's a beach character. And I guess I haven't played with her for a long time because she just got her first friend point. Oh my. Okay, so yeah, that's what made this game so appealing at the time was, I remember going on the road for my job, taking my tablet with me, and I'd have nothing to do in the hotel at night. So I would pull out my tablet and I would, after I get my work done for the night, so I'd, go to the client site, work for the client for the day, go to the hotel at night, pull up my laptop, do the work for the other customers that I had to ignore during the day, because when a client pays me to go on site, I gotta focus on them. So, when I'm in their office, I'm totally focused on them, and everybody else can just kind of wait. Get back to the hotel, have my dinner, maybe have a drink or two. Then I go back to my room. Or if I'm on a hotel that's got a nice bar that has power outlets that are available, then I'll bring my laptop to the bar. I'll hook it up to the power outlet, and I'll do my work there. So I get drinks and work at the same time. Makes the time go a little bit easier. But at some point, you gotta stop working. You gotta, turn that laptop off and say, I'm done looking at my work computer. Getting too many emails. I can't keep up. At some point, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, you're like, it's time to shut off the laptop. Again, when I'm on the road, unfortunately, that's how it works. 8 hours for the customer, and then another 4 to 6 hours to catch up for the portfolio that I have to manage. So for the 4 to 6 hours after work, after the customer, I'm having to, catch up on anywhere from 14 to 17 other customers who had issues during the day. There were 2 times where, I won't say 2 weeks, I mean 2 periods of time, 6, 8, 12, 14 weeks, 1 period, where I would be doing one customer's upgrade during the day, and then at night I'd have to do the other customer's upgrade. And that kind of killed my liver a little bit. Let's just say that. Is that fair? So anyway, getting back to the story. So, when I'm done doing my work, I get back to my room. Now I can pull up my tablet. I'm like, okay, now it's entertainment time. And what did I use? This game, Chain Chronicle. And I remember the first time that I got my first 5-star character was I was in a hotel in Kentucky. I remember it. I was sitting in that hotel, and I got that character finally I got the character unlocked, got the character limit broken in my hotel room in Kentucky. And the other notable thing about that experience is that right across the street, actually right across the parking lot from my hotel room, like I could look out my window and look out my hotel room window, and there was a parking lot, and then across from the parking lot there was a bar, and every Thursday, was it? No, not Thursday. It was like one night a week, and the customer did not warn me. The customer didn't tell me until after, so so this is a funny part. So I, contacted the customer before I booked my trip. I said, I'm going to book my trip. Do you have a hotel that you need me to use where you have a negotiated rate, so I'm going to save you on travel expenses? And they said, yes, use this hotel. Like, okay, I'll use that hotel. So I booked it. And so I arrive at the hotel. At first how it typically works is that when I travel for business, for what I do, I'm not a suit and tie guy. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what I do on this channel, but I'm not a suit and tie guy, so I'll wear, Dockers and or slacks or whatever, a nice button-down shirt. So I look like a consultant, but I'm not a suit and tie guy. I don't look like a sales guy. So I take the plane in the morning. Usually, so I'm not going to name exactly where I'm flying from, but let's just say I travel from the middle of the country, the middle of the United States. So unless I'm going to an office that's situated by a hub that my airport directly connects to, like if I have a customer in let's say Charlotte, North Carolina, or Dallas, Texas, then I can get there in about 2 hours. So, I can get there. I can take a 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock a.m. flight, whatever I want to do. I'm a little too old now. You can't hear it in my voice, but I'm a little too old now to do the 6 a.m. flights. That's just tiring. I don't want to do that anymore. So I'll take flights that are a little bit later in the day. I'm not going to do 6. Sometimes I'll do a 7, but usually I'll do 8 o'clock flight. And sadly, what that means is that, thanks to the fiasco that is the Kabuki Circus, Kabuki Theater, sorry. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to get my channel flagged, but if I say Kabuki Theater, you kind of know what I'm talking about with respect to what we have to go through when we check in at the airport. Let's just say that, to get from the you enter the airport until you get to onboard your airplane. It's Kabuki Theater. Sorry. And for those of you that work in that industry, I'm not going to apologize. It is what it is. Okay. So typically for most of my customer sites, it takes about half a day to get there. So if I take an early morning flight out, I'm not going to get onto the customer site until somewhere between noon and, let's say, sometime between noon and 2 p.m. Whether it's Eastern or, if it's Pacific, I'll get there a little earlier because of the time zone differences. But it's going to be about a half a day that I've lost just from travel. So what I do is that because, the customer's waiting for me, so I will go from the airport directly to the customer's office. So I'm not going to check into my hotel until nighttime. So, typically what I'll do is that I'll have if I get I used to rent cars. This is going to just be a rant. So a riff or whatever you want to call it. I have so many stories to tell you guys. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. Okay. Just kind of clearing the path. So, yeah, I used to be in this mindset that, and it was expected when I first started in the consulting industry. So I was a employee in industry where I never had to travel. Never had to travel. And then in, what year was it? 2013, I switched from working in industry to becoming to working for a consulting firm. Oh, don't be running away. No. So that's when I started to travel. And at that time, when I first started in 2013 in consulting, Uber was not yet quite a thing. I think Uber, I don't recall what year Uber got its start, but Uber didn't really catch on until in later years. So it was just generally expected that if you're going to consult and you're going to go visit a customer, you're going to rent a car. It just was expected. You're going to rent a car. So, okay. You go to you step off the flight, you go find out where the rental counter is. Most of the airports don't have on-site rental counters anymore. You have to take a shuttle. You go, you have to wait for the shuttle. Then you take a 5 to 10 minute ride to get to the off-airport rental center. And then you go and then you have to wait in line at the rental car company unless you have elite points where you can just go straight to the parking lot and pick up your car, whatever. So I used to do that all the time. So when I did that, then I would, pop my luggage in the trunk, drive to the customer's location, pray that I would get lost. Back then, when it first got started, Google Maps on your phone was not yet a thing. You had to basically rent a GPS from the rental car company unless you knew what you were doing. So if you were familiar with the area, then no, you didn't have to rent a GPS for your car. Otherwise, I would have to always pay whatever it was, $10 a day to have a Garmin or whatever it is that they used in order to be able to not get lost in a city that I didn't live in. So there was only a couple of cities where I had customers I visited so often where I didn't need the GPS because I just had it memorized. So that was, so you would pop your luggage in the car, in the trunk. Nobody would see when you go to the office. You go to the office. So I would have to literally fly in my work clothes. So I would be wearing my slacks, my work shirt, my work shoes, everything in the airplane, very uncomfortable. By the time I get to the customer's location, 4 hours later, I'm not looking too good, right? All my stuff is wrinkled, but whatever. And then at night, after the workday ends, leave the customer's office, find my way to the hotel, check in, and pray that my card isn't declined because my card has a daily limit because of fraud prevention, and if the car rental and the airfare and the hotel all try to get billed on the same day, one of them's going to get declined. And I've had that happen to me a couple times. Very embarrassing. So, get checked in, go get some dinner, get a couple drinks, plug in the laptop, and then do Chain Chronicle, which I'm playing right now. I don't do rental cars anymore. So what happened a couple years ago, just about, I think 2 or 3 years ago. So now Uber is in its game. Uber is definitely in its game. Am I out of energy? But I was still in the mindset of, I gotta rent a car. So I rented a car, put my stuff in the trunk. So I had my luggage in the trunk, my laptop, all that stuff. I drive about 30 minutes or so. Oh, somebody is trying to steal from me. Knock it off. It was about this particular office location, I want to say, yeah, they're about, maybe 30 to 35 minutes from the airport. Okay? I'm not doing this right. In fact, I have a character that's about to die. And I don't have a healer in my party. I didn't think I would need one. Well, this character does heal herself, or something's going on here. So anyway, it was a nice vehicle, right? I like driving it. Very comfortable. It's a safe drive. Don't be a thief. Okay. There we go. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, we got boss time. Alright. We'll have to build a chain. That's why they call it Chain Chronicle, because each character can cast a skill, and if you do it each person one after another within a certain time limit, then chain 1, chain 2, chain 3, chain 4 gives you a nice bonus. Okay, so anyway, I'm getting back to my story. So I drive about 35 minutes from the airport to the office. I get to the office. By the way, this is not my customer. This is actually my corporate office that I work for. And, about twice a year they ask me to come out for meetings or whatever. So I go out. And back in the day, I used to fly out. It was a direct flight. And I would fly out. I would take like the 7 a.m. flight, and I'd get there. It was a 2-hour flight. So if I take the 7 a.m., then I get there. Again, you have to move the clock because they were in a different time zone. So I pick up the car, drive to the office, whatever. I park the car, take the keys out, pop the trunk, pull out my laptop, leave everything else in there, close the trunk, walk into the office. Okay, sounds like a boring conversation right now, right? This is a typical day. Except what happens next. You're like, but Lysorn, how could this be any more exciting? I'll tell you. So, by the way, I like pulling in archers just because they're more convenient, because I don't have to move my units around as much. If I had like 3 archers, I would just have them all just barrage the enemy, and I wouldn't have to move my units around. Anyway, take my stuff out of the car, walk into the office, get my temporary security badge, because I'm only there twice a year, so I don't have a permanent badge. Whatever, I don't care. Then I go into the break room, and I use the slowest coffee machine in the world. It takes like, a couple of minutes just to brew, and it's one of these single cup brewing machines, right? So normally, if it's properly working, you get your cup of coffee in 1 minute. This one, I don't know, they must have hard water or something in their city, because the thing must have been clogged, because it took forever to get 1 cup of coffee. Whatever. So I got my coffee, I got my badge, I go into the conference room, which, by the way, has a window that faces the parking lot. So I walk in there, and I see the executive that I report to. And he's on the phone talking to somebody, but he's staring outside the window. He's like transfixed. Like, what is he looking at, So I look out there, and I see a fire is starting in the parking lot. And I'm scratching my head, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my God, there's a car on fire. And I'm watching, and I'm thinking, that's kind of close to where my car's parked. I better go out and check on it. I better, move my car if it's close to the one that's on fire. So I go out there, and there's already some people outside on the sidewalk or whatever that are looking, gawking, whatever. There's the building manager who's got her phone out. She's taking pictures, probably for her insurance company or whatever. So I'm out there for a minute. Like, I'm going to go out there and check on my car. I go out there. It's my car that's on fire. My freaking rental car is on freaking fire. And I'm in shock. I have no idea, first thing that should have popped in my head should have been, call 911, call the fire department. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I have no idea what to do. And fortunately, because the building manager, somebody must have alerted her because she was out there taking pictures. She had already called 911. So the police arrived first, and then the fire department was there about 1 to 2 minutes later. And, they took care of it. They put out the fire. Nobody was hurt. The car totaled, and I went over to the cop, and I said, I believe that's my rental car that's on fire. He said, I want to see your driver's license. So I gave him a driver's license, and he kept it. And he kept it for 15 minutes. So he must have thought I was guilty of something. Because it wasn't like something where he just wanted to record my information. He was making sure that I'm not going to go anywhere. So that was kind of creepy, And then, of course, the fire department came. They put out the fire. And, while the thing is burning, one of the tires explodes. Explodes due to the heat. And the thing, it's just, just a creepy experience. And then the last person to arrive was the inspector, the fire department inspector. So when there's a fire, they have to send somebody to do an inspection, do a investigation, and determine, was this arson? Was this a deliberate fire? So he came, he introduced himself, and then, I said, hey, I'm going to stand back, let you do your work. He was going to do his work regardless of what I was going to say. So, I just basically said, hello, I'm the person who rented the car. He acknowledged me, and he went about his investigation. So he did his investigation, went around the car, looked at everything. I think it took him, maybe 15 minutes or so. By this time, I finally got my driver's license back. What am I getting here? Oh, this guy. I don't want him, but whatever. I'm not into guys with tattooed faces. Sorry. But there you go. So yeah, he eventually, the inspector eventually comes and talks to me after he's done. He's, writing up his report and stuff, and he says, okay, this is a level 100. Am I going to be able to do this? Let's try it. Let's give myself a little bit of points here. What you're about to see me do, I might not succeed in it. Let's see. What do I have here what friends do I have to choose? Why is this one not glowing? Okay, well, we'll pick Lost Pig. Okay. So he comes to me afterwards and he says, you know, he wasn't able to find conclusive evidence as to why the fire started. But he said, you know, I believe that you had nothing to gain by doing this. I believe that it was a electrical failure. And I'm like, okay. Then I had to, we got a thief here. Hello. Oh, I may have to start bringing in a healer to my group. Hello. What's going on back here? I got a person broaching my perimeter here. If they fall back all the way, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna lose here. They already brought in Booberry. Come on. Oh, I'm gonna lose this fight. I'm only on wave 2 of 6. I'm gonna lose. I'm down to my last 2 characters. Yeah. So with this game, if somebody, so I just lost. So you lose. No, I'm gonna hit cancel. No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not going to spend resources to resume the game, because this one for me is a lost cause. So yeah, he basically said, from my perspective, it looks like it was an electrical problem in the under the hood, in the engine compartment, because that's where the fire started. And that's where the worst damage was. So the worst damage was, in fact, under the hood. Yes, it spread to the passenger compartment. Looks really shabby. Okay, here we go. I'll pick a Archer again. He said, you know what? You told me that you rented the car. I said, yes. Where did you rent it from? I told him where I rented it from. Where do you know, what's the purpose of your trip? I'm like, my corporate office is in this building right here. So he came to the conclusion that, you know, I didn't have anything to gain. No financial gain from setting a rental car on fire. That being said, it from like literally like within 30 minutes, if not sooner, I became the joke of the office. It's like, don't rent a car, don't ride with Lysorn, don't ride with Lysorn. My luggage in the trunk, so I had to ask the fire department for help, because the trunk didn't have like a key opener for the back. You had to use the electrical button on your rental car key. And of course, the whole car was fried. There was no electrical system anymore. So I'm like, what can you do to help me to get my stuff out of the back? So they were able to get into the passenger section in the back, because it was a 4-door sedan. And they were able to figure out how to pop the trunk. Okay, so thank you. Pulled my bag out. The thing reeked. My luggage reeked. I was able to get my toiletries out because I had to fly. All my toiletries were in a plastic bag to adhere to the Kabuki theater rules. So I got my toiletries, but the bag itself, all my clothing, everything reeked of smoke, damp, because everything, of course, was soaked with the water that the fire department used, but also the smoke from the fire permeated the entire car. So I basically, when I went to the hotel and I pulled the things out that I could salvage, I said, can you just take this bag, everything contains, can you just put it in your dumpster, please? And, that bag served me well for many, many years, over, I'd say, 2 decades. Ended up getting a cheaper one that's still serving me well. And it has a nice little roller on it. So, anyway, that's my story. So from that point forward, I guess this is what I was getting at. And I don't know why I got on this topic. So from that day forward, when my rental car burned and I became the butt of the office of all their jokes, they still make fun of me. By the way, in that conference room, not only was my executive there, but then our chief operating officer, who is now our chief executive officer, was also there, and all of their peers. So there were like many vice presidents in that room, or senior vice presidents, and a few of my peers, and I was humiliated. There's no other word for it. I was absolutely humiliated, and totally not my fault. I did everything right. I parked the car, I shut off the ignition, I put the parking brake on, took the key out. Fortunately I had the laptop that I took with me, otherwise that would have been ruined. So I did everything right. And here's the fun part. The rental car company tried to go after me. My company has a policy that, hey, when you travel and you rent a car, do not buy insurance because we have insurance and you're covered under us. Like, okay. And, I contacted the rental company almost immediately, let them know what happened. I'm like, hey, the car that you rented to me caught on fire. And of course, the people that I talked to first were very nice. Oh my gosh, are you okay? Was anybody hurt? I said, nobody was hurt. And they said, oh, thank goodness. We're so glad nobody was hurt. And they did take care of me that day, where they brought a wrecker out. They took the wreck away, and they brought me a new car. So they brought me a replacement so I could complete my rental. So, so from that perspective, everything worked out. But then about a month later, the manager of the rental car company of that particular district or office emailed me, because I emailed them everything. Said, here's evidence of what happened. I gave them, one, because I had to fill out a statement to the fire department. So I said, Mr. Rental Car Company, here's the statement number with the fire department, and here's also the report information, so you can contact the fire department and get the results of the report, because they didn't give it directly to me. So they did that. And the rental car manager for this particular city came back and said, well, we checked with the fire department, we pulled the results of the report, and the report does not exonerate you. So we want to know what you're going to do to take care of this. And I said, I've already given you photos, and somebody in the building actually took a video of the fire while it was happening and uploaded it, and they uploaded it to YouTube, and I gave him that link. I said, here's this link of these people making fun of me, because they're recording the fire, and then there I am walking up to the police officer, and somebody in the background of the video saying, oh, that's the guy that, I can't remember what they called me, but basically, I was the poor chump that, had his fire. So they were all laughing at me, F them, whatever. Wasn't their car. It wasn't mine either, but, I did lose my clothes. I lost my bag, which was a very nice Samsonite bag, by the way. I could have filed a claim with the company, but I didn't want to bother. I just wanted to be done with it. So and when I got back home, I went to the local store. They had a traveler bag on sale, normally $120, but they were on clearance. They're trying to get rid of them, and it was like $20. I'm like, you know what? I'll pay the $20, get her a nicer bag. Yeah, it's not a Samsonite. It's not going to be indestructible, but it's got the capacity that I need. It's got these nice rollers. It's got a little carrying bar, whatever. So anyway, this guy, so he emails me again and says, how do you want to take care of this? Do you just want to take care of this the normal way? I'm like, and I reply back and say, can you explain what the normal way means? What is this? So what does that mean? You guys rented me a defective car. And oh, by the way, I Googled it, and it turns out that there was a recall for a prior model year for electrical issues that causes fires in this exact model. Yeah, it was, 2 or 3 model years back. You guys didn't fix the problem. And oh, by the way, if you want to go after insurance, then, I copy my company HR manager. I say, here's the person that can give you insurance information if you need it. Never heard from the guy again. So, moral of the story. From that day forward, I don't rent cars anymore. Anytime I travel, now of course right now due to quote unquote the bug, we're on lockdown. My company has a global ban on travel. So nobody in any country that we have offices is permitted to travel right now. That's fine. That's okay with me, because travel is such a hassle. I'm actually more efficient working from home on these projects because, again, like I said earlier in this recording, anywhere I go, it's going to be, I lose at least half a day in travel. Going from my home to the airport, going from airport through security to the waiting area, waiting for my plane, praying that my plane will be departing on time, which doesn't always happen, praying that I will make my connection on time, and, praying that the airport that I connect to doesn't have a huge layout. I tell you what, the airport that I really hate connecting through, that I actually avoid now, is Charlotte, North Carolina. Their airport is huge, and they don't have the people movers that move fast enough. So if you have I've had times where there was a 15-minute connection, and I have to go from Terminal E to Terminal A, which is a 30-minute walk. So I'm having to run, and I actually had a plane that, tried to leave without me, even though it was the last flight out. It was a return flight, so it was a return trip home. It was the last flight home. There was no more flights to my airport that night, and they knew that my incoming flight was delayed, and they made no arrangements, and they had pulled away from the gate, and so they had pulled away from the gate. They were still on tarmac. Fortunately, the attendant at the gate was still there. He was doing his paperwork. I ran up. I'm out of breath. He's like, sir, how can I help you? I'm like, I'm supposed to be on that flight. Is there any way that you can get me on there? Normally, that is totally forbidden. Once they close the gate, even if the plane hasn't left yet, they're not supposed to reopen those doors. But, I gave him my information. He must have looked up. He must have known that, okay, yeah, my incoming flight was seriously delayed. It wasn't a matter of a short connection. My inbound flight was delayed like, at least 40 minutes. So anyway, getting back to my car story, I don't know how I got on this topic, but that's how this channel goes. I just, I start playing a game and I start riffing. So, yeah, when I travel for work, hey, baby. Yeah, when I travel from work, I just, I take Uber. It's so convenient, you know. The only time it's a problem is like if there's a long, like if your hotel and the office that you have to work out are in the middle of nowhere. And if the hotel does not have a shuttle service, then if there's no shuttle service from the airport to your office every single day, from the office back to the hotel, then you are stuck and you are totally dependent upon local Uber drivers to pick you up, take you from the hotel to the office, take you from the office back to the hotel, and you're pretty much not going out to restaurants unless you've got a coworker on the same project staying at the hotel and they have a car and they're like, hey Lysarn, let's go out for sushi. I'm like, I'm all in, can I ride with you? And they're like, sure. Perfect. Okay. Otherwise, if I'm working solo, so if I'm on a project by myself, what do we got here? Then, yeah, I'm stuck at, I'm going to be eating at the hotel every night, or unless the hotel has restaurants or whatnot within walking distance. I've had some good fortune in some projects where the hotel has a really nice restaurant or multiple restaurants, in case of a very large hotel. So those are nice to stay at. Or I've had hotels where, there's places within walking distance. So if I don't like what's at the hotel, or if I want to change of pace, I can do something else. But I've had other situations, where I don't know why they do this. I mean, I've had customer offices that are they're in industrial parks out in the middle of effing nowhere. And there's nothing nearby. And it's even worse if it's like a Marriott Courtyard, where you get the menu has 5 things. And that's it. You get 5 things on the menu to choose from. Getting the cheeseburger 5 nights in a row gets old after a while. It's like cheeseburger, salad, a wrap, and cheeseburger, salad, and a wrap. It's like you just don't get many options when you're staying at a Courtyard. And I apologize for people who like that chain. By the way, I love a lot of Marriotts. Some of the upscale Marriotts have very nice restaurants, very nice rooms. But the Courtyard, yeah, that's that's the cheap option. Hello, Sideboo. Okay, I've ranted enough, so I'm going to go ahead and close down this thing. I hope you got a sense of Chain Chronicle while watching me play. And, as I always say, if you had insomnia, I hope that my voice helped put you to sleep. Or at least you had a little chuckle at my expense. So take care, have a good night, and be safe and be well.